Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tom and Arnold Talk Movies. I am Thomas. This is Arnold.
Hi.
Today, we're going to be talking about Pearl. This was co-written and directed by Ty West. Also written with star of Pearl, Mia Goth. The second installment of the X series and prequel to X. Set in 1918, the film follows Pearl, the villain of the previous film, who's fed up with her life as a simple farmhand and dreams of being a star. One day, an opportunity presents itself which may finally allow her to leave the farm and achieve her dreams. Arnold, what did you think of Pearl?
Absolutely amazing.
Very good.
So much better than X. I like X, but this was just I think because I'm very much familiar with this sort of tribute to like old Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit more appealing to me. But yeah, there's just more memorable moments compared to X. And I think the way it looks, because it looks so saturated and whimsical, and you've got that lovely score, it's got that weird juxtaposition in terms of like the horror elements. But yeah, what did you think?
I loved it. I thought it was pretty much repeating what you said, but
Yeah.
I thought it was more interesting than X. The setting, the way it was focused on one character rather than a group of people.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think you need to watch X to watch
No,
this.
it's pretty standalone as it is, which is really good.
Yeah, and both films sort of complement each other because now you can watch X knowing about Pearl.
Yeah.
And you can watch Pearl knowing what happens in X, if that makes sense. That sounded a bit
You've
daft,
got
but you know what I mean.
justifiable context to rewatch it, basically. Yeah.
I love how it does a similar thing to what X did, where X was sort of influenced by that 70s exploitation horror, whereas this is more influenced by like
the upcoming age of this
like
industry of
1930s, 1940s-ish era, and like they're sort of inspired by the era they're setting. And yeah, this takes place in 1918, but you know they didn't really have films back then.
Yeah.
So you know the whole point of it being, say, a 30s film makes sort of sense. It's not sort of like
I wouldn't say it's like a 30s film. It's just more of a general like era appreciation.
Yeah, but I mean, like you couldn't. It's like a 30s film in the way sometimes the way it looks. I mean, you couldn't film something these days like it was made in the 1930s because people wouldn't watch it because they just wouldn't watch it.
Imagine if it was in black and white.
Yeah. Well, I reckon this would look sick in black and white. Yeah. But yeah. So I really love that. Almost has sort of a Wizard of Oz feel to it.
Yeah, it's like you perfectly described it at the beginning. It's like this farm girl who dreams of leaving and traveling to the city, but instead of divine intervention, it's like she's an evil murderer that has to kill her family. It's like I like that sort of it. Like I said, it's sort of like poking a bit of fun at this sort of traditional old Hollywood, but with like a little edge, and
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was just going to say because when you think of that, of like simple girl who goes off,
it's got that sort of childlike sort of innocence about it.
It's like you can compare that to a lot of films. I mean, I can't think of any, but you can compare that to a lot of films about a girl who wants to be a star and all that stuff.
Definitely.
Whereas with this, she's like a murderer.
Yeah.
I loved the opening of the film though, with the music and the way we open onto this bright, colourful farm, and we see her sort of daydreaming, and the lights are on her. And then we have that little moment of back to reality where her mum comes in, who's played by Tandy Wright, and she's like, "What are you doing? Like, get to work." We get into the farm when she's doing the farm work, but then Mr. Goose turns up, and that's when we know. That's when we know that this girl. I don't want to say nuts, even though I just have, but this is when we know this girl is definitely disturbed. There's something not quite right. The fact that she can just kill that animal and feed it to the alligator, which I loved, but it's just like, that ain't fucking right. People don't do that. And I really love that sort of little touch where it freeze frames on the alligator grabbing the duck, goose, whatever, and it like Pearl, and then it fades to black. It's like that is such and like it's such an old thing that they used to do in the
Another
films.
great transition moment. This is skipping ahead where she sees the projectionist again, and it's that little spoilers, and it's a little circle closing in. That's a nice little touch.
That's great.
I like this sort of like. You get like the scenes where it's all this sort of like romantic sort of look of this story of this girl, and then you get the reality with the family and that, and it's like with this sort of look of this sort of romantic story, like this is obviously Pearl's perspective, and like obviously you can't imagine this is Pearl making a film inside her head. Obviously not. But it's like it's just her true dream. Like there's so many moments, like when she's walking into the city on a bike, and it's like that sort of whimsical sort of energy to it. And it's good, man. I mean, there's nice little references like that bit with the scarecrow. That's very Wizard of Oz. Of course.
Yeah, fucking, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Because again, it's a nice little twist because of that sort of horror element, and it's like when she starts making love to the scarecrow.
Yeah.
And the face of the scarecrow is actually terrifying.
Yeah.
There's like little moments of like sort of gruesome imagery, like when she goes to the cinema and she sees the old World War One footage of that man being burnt alive.
Yeah.
There's like little snippets of that. And I love that scene where she's in the bathtub and she's bathing herself while her father's just there neglected.
Yeah.
There's like, this is what I mean about the juxtaposition. It's like the tone of it is so, wonderfully romantic, but you've got little bits where it seems a bit very concerning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saying that about that, you just give me a thought. Maybe that sort of thing about, because it's like glorifying the war. It's almost like it doesn't kind of make sense. Like it's glorifying the war, but it's actually showing what war's like.
Exactly.
And this isn't a film which is like proper anti-war.
Yeah.
There might be something in there, but
it's very jarring.
Yeah. It's just like, but I think that's sort of like, maybe that's in her sort of head where it's like she knows that, war isn't glorified.
I think because of her husband going off to war, she's more aware of the gritty realities that that is a part of war.
And I think as well, because like we've said, she's obviously disturbed, and I think when her mum dies, I think that's like the trigger for her to be like, well, I can do what the fuck I want now. And I don't mean that as in like, oh, I'm free. It's like the mum is like, she's kind of a bitch, but like, no, let me say because I will say, I think she can be a bit nasty, but I think her mum is the only thing stopping Pearl from becoming what she is.
Because she's completely aware of what Pearl's actually like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's like there's that moment just before she dies where like we kind of get I don't want to say we sympathise with the mum, but it's kind of like, oh, we kind of understand her, because she says something along the lines of, I know what you're really like. I know that you've been hurting animals and stuff like that. So I think like, the methods, and this, you got to think of the era it's set in 1918, but it's like the methods she uses might be a bit harsh towards her daughter, and maybe she's, and plus they are German, and at the time, the US was fighting Germany, so there's maybe that as well.
To be honest, I sympathise with the mother because Pearl, she's living in a fantasy, and she's refusing to accept her responsibility. She doesn't appreciate the fact that they've travelled all this way. They're Germans, so they're already social pariahs. You know what I mean? It's like they're living off the land, and Pearl doesn't seem to accept that reality. And obviously, Pearl, she feels like she's been given like the short straw in life, which is understandable because she looks at her sister-in-law, who's very privileged. Her husband is coming from a privileged background. You know what I mean? It's like, why haven't I got a piece of that pie? And you can understand with that. But what I liked about the character of Pearl's mother is the fact that there's obvious parallels with her and what Pearl will become in X, because Pearl's mother has needs that is as unfilled. She instead of being a wife, she's a mother to not only Pearl but the father as well. Do you see what I'm saying?
She mentions that,
yeah. So it's a nice little like foreshadowing in terms of what is to come for Pearl, because she's literally looking in the mirror when she sees her mother, and it's like the things I've had to sacrifice, and it's like, oh my god.
She sort of has an affair with the projectionist, but when he gets killed off and she's just screaming in his face, and she's like, I'm not staying here, I'm getting out of here, and like, you fucking feel, I mean, we haven't said Mia Goth is fucking brilliant, but you feel that, like, her, the sound of the emotion in her voice is like, you feel it. I swear to God, I was watching it, I was a bit like, fucking hell, like, I could feel it, man. It's like, and it just goes to show, it's just like, it felt real, and it's obviously not, because the guy gets a fucking pitchfork through his fucking mouth.
Yeah,
but it's just like,
but in those short instances, you're completely like suspended in that moment.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's almost to Pearl. It's like, once she gets off this farm, then life will get better. But for a person with her sort of struggles in her mind, it's like, it won't. And it's just like, it's like you almost, you feel sorry for her, even though she does these horrible things.
I don't.
See, I do feel sorry for Pearl because I think a part of it is just the way she's made, if to put it like that. I think her disturbed sort of thoughts and that, and it's just like she doesn't want to be the person she's growing into. She doesn't want to be a mom, and she does, like you said, she does become a mom.
Yeah.
So it's just like that, and it's just like it's just like she can't see like what she's doing. In a sense,
yeah,
she can,
because I don't
know, it's kind of mad.
It's that, I think it's the mix of this self-entitlement, because she expects herself to be this famous dancer in the world because of how certain she is of her achieving her dreams, and it's also the fact that because she's constantly denied her own dreams by the mother, and there's never any sort of encouragement at all. So she also thinks she's the victim as well. And that's why she feels like it's almost justifiable that no matter what it costs, even if she kills her own parents, that it doesn't matter because she wants to live her own dream. And that's what I kind of get from Pearl.
Yeah. But I feel like she doesn't realise that it's you. How do I say it? It's like she doesn't realise how wrong.
No, she doesn't.
I mean, I suppose I agree with you there because she's so focused on herself. Basically.
Yeah. She's deluded in the sense, but like I get what you're saying because of the fact she killed her parents, she's not really aware of the ramifications, like in terms of how it really will mess her up mentally. I mean, at the end of the film, spoilers again.
Spoilers.
When she sort of composes the bodies into the dinner table, and she uses the was it a pig or something?
Oh, fuck knows.
She's doing everything she can to maintain that stability in that environment that she's completely destroyed, and it's her own way of sort of coping with what she's done. Do you see what I'm saying?
I have like a weird thing about that very end. Because in a way, I do actually think it's kind of a happy ending. Because like Howard comes back and he's like, "What the fuck?" But it's like he's still with her in X. So in a way, I suppose he did accept her and he does love her for who she is.
Yeah.
So
and I think you can fill in the blanks.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like maybe he was a bit like, "What the fuck?" But then he sort of, grew to love her for who she is, even though she is a murderous person. A great bit as well, which was totally fucking unexpected, and it's a dream sequence, but she's thinking of Howard and then he just fucking explodes. I thought that was fucking great. I was not
so out of nowhere.
Yeah. And it's well, there's another effect I want to bring up, but we'll leave it for a sec. But it's just how fucking real it looked, because there must be, well, it's got to be, because they ain't gonna blow up a person, but it's just like there must be like a quick fucking like frame cut.
Minute.
Where like it changes into a model and it explodes. Fucking brilliant, man. Love that. I want to talk more about Mia Goth's acting though, because I fucking loved it, and she was in Infinity Pool recently as well, which you haven't seen, so I won't say anything. But she's very good in that as well. The moment where they're queuing up. By the way, the opportunity she gets is that she can audition for a dance troupe or whatever. And when she's in the queue for that audition, I was so anxious because I was like, she's going to go in there and she's going to be fucking shit. She's going to be really fucking bad.
It's weird because you're rooting for her.
Yeah. But it's like, I just feel like, please don't be really bad. I know she's not going to get it because she's still on the farm in X.
Oh, of course.
But just please don't be really bad. And I don't necessarily think she's bad. It's like, because the auditioners say, like, it's not what we're after. But to her, it's everything.
It's everything. And also, again, it's another great parallel to X because the fact that it's another sort of commentary on beauty standards. Because Pearl isn't blonde, she isn't that American.
That's it.
The whole imagery of what America really is about in terms of what is in a personification, let's just say.
Carry on.
No, that was it.
But that also adds to maybe why she feels jealous about Maxine, because Maxine is doing what she's doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. It depends how you look at it, but like, Maxine is
that's
a porn
true actually,
star.
because Maxine doesn't feel like she has to be validated by the media or anything. She can do her own thing. You know what I mean? It's good.
After the audition though, when she's sitting on those steps and she's just bawling her eyes out
crying
and she's crying so bad, it's like I felt so fucking bad for her, because it's just like, this is where I get the sympathy from, is that this is what I mean. To her, it's fucking everything, and she fails, you know what I mean? And it's in that moment all her dreams are destroyed.
And she's lost everything for
That's
nothing.
what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just like she doesn't have anything, and that's where I get the sympathy from, because it's just like, oh, fucking hell. You can't, like you say, you root for her. You kind of wanted to get the audition, even though you know she's not gonna because X. So I just, but going back to that acting, it's like that real fucking emotion, man. We've got to mention that almost like 10-minute monologue she gives. Fucking brilliant, man. And the camera does not fucking come off at all. Brilliant, man. Fucking brilliant. Like
it wouldn't, because Mia Goth, she wrote the script as well, along with T. West, and I wouldn't be surprised if she wrote most of that. Even if it was like mostly improvised. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There might have been like, oh, keep it in this general area, but then
probably
of
subtle ad libs here and there.
Yeah. And I just thought it was fucking great. And I have to add, in that scene as well, I fucking loved it, where we find out that her friend has got the job, has got the audition, and that look on her face is like, I have never seen someone look so like they're gonna murder someone. Like, her face is just full of fucking murderous rage. And then we get the bit after that where she's hunting her down with the axe, and it's one long shot. Fucking sick. Fucking great. I love that. I really did love it.
I just want to go back to that confession scene, because there's so much that, like, oh my god, man. And it's like, she, like, when she mentions like losing her baby and how happy she was.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's some sort of grief then as well.
Yeah. And like, that obviously has contributed to her mental health deteriorating, as well as the isolation. Yeah, and it's like that whole bit when she mentions the fact that killing has become really gratifying to her, and it makes sense when you watch the first bit when she kills the goose, and it's like, because I know it's wrong, but I like it. It makes me feel better, and it's like, Jesus Christ, man, I love that whole bit.
She says something like, I know I'm not a good person.
Yeah,
it's just fucking great, man. I thought though, after she kills her friend with the axe and she gets chopped up, fucking the effects were unbelievable. It looked fucking real. And it's like, there might have been a cheeky CGI.
There's one shot of the head looking pretty obvious that it's fake, but then there's another shot where it looks real.
I know, with the arms getting chopped up. It's fucking, like, the effects in this are brilliant. Did you know the budget, like $1 million or something? $1 million? Whatever.
It was $1 million.
Yeah. I mean, that's fucking nothing. And the effect is fucking brilliant, man. It's like when the axe come down and you just see, like, the fucking cut, it's fucking brilliant, man. I could not believe how good that looked. Fucking brilliant, man. The effects they can do in these horror films are great. I mean, going back to sort of Terrifier 2, which I think was only made for like $250,000. The effects in that, fucking brilliant, man.
There's this relationship with Pearl and the projectionist, and played by David Corenswet.
I think so, yeah.
I hope so. And like that one, I liked the whole reference to the very first pornography ever like filmed. But I liked the relationship because it was very much a reminder of like old Hollywood sleaziness, because this whole like in a sense he was the producer and she was the upcoming actress, and like he was saying, well, I could see one of those pornographic pictures, you know what I mean? It's like, I can get you in contact, I can get you to Europe and we can actually do that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you don't want to be a dancer, you can do this, you know what I mean? And I got that sort of like vibe, which was a nice little reference to what was that horrible era of like, you know, Hollywood where women you know, had to do certain horrible things in order to actually get somewhere. So that was a nice little commentary.
I wasn't so much interested that much with the sort of affair she has. I did like the bit where she's dancing with the scarecrow and she sees his face and she just shouts at him like, I'm married. And it's like, that's great. It's like that, it's almost like that guilt inside her, if you know what I mean, even though she's shouting at a scarecrow. But yeah, I wasn't not that I wasn't interested in it, but I was happy to see him get killed though. And then when he gets the fucking, when I love the bit where she puts the pitchfork in his mouth, and then she screams at him, and then like kicks it down again, just so fucking have that, you bastard. Yeah, we'll sort of leave it there then, because we have spoke about it quite a bit. Really enjoyed it. Made me even more sort of anxious for Maxine.
I'm just happy that Pearl actually finally got her own story told properly.
Yeah, I was gonna say as well.
There's
I
a
mean,
nice feeling of like completeness with that sort of story arc.
this watching this and then going straight to X would make a great sort
I
of
know, trust me.
pairing. And like, I wouldn't mind a sequel to this. I wouldn't mind an interquel, whatever they're called,
Oh, yeah.
where it's like we get to see more of how Pearl is Pearl in X. And like, I would love them to like give it like 5 years or 10 years, let Mia Goth get a bit older, and then come back to it and then see what's going on with Pearl here and all that. But saying that, we do know that she ends up getting killed. I do think there's more to this story of Pearl, and it goes to show how good of a character she is, because I want to see more of her. I want to see more about her life. But then, if they do a sequel, is it just going to be this again? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'd need a good idea to do another one. Another Pearl.
Maybe it's good that they've ended it leaving you wanting more, and maybe that's enough.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to Maxine now and
Definitely.
seeing where that goes. But yeah, overall, both loved it, didn't we?
Beautiful.
Very good film. Yeah, can't wait for Maxine. And thank you for watching this video. Probably more you can watch. We did a review on X, so if you want to watch that, you can watch that if you want. And yeah, and we're gonna do Infinity Pool when it comes out, which is also Mia Goth. So Mia Goth month all around. So very good film. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in another video.